Hello everyone and welcome back. I have a two-page layout for you today, and here are some of the photos I'm going to be scrapbooking. This is from an architecture tour that we took when we were in Chicago. Get on an open top boat, and this was in 2021, so everyone was still wearing masks. But they take you on this tour down the Colorado River and just give you some of the history of the buildings down the skyline. And you can see we started in the day, but it got dark. We were the last cruise. It was pretty neat, and they had fireworks at the end. But I'm going to be working off of this sketch right here by Erin Jacobson over at Crafty Concepts with Erin. And this was the sketch she did back in August. And for our placement, for our paper, we're going to be using the Take to the Sky. I really like this pack of papers, and I think I'm going to be using this green paper here with the map on it, and then I have another gray paper here that looks kind of like a city diagram, or I don't know, it just reminds me of a city. And we were taking this architecture tour, taking this tour through the city. So we'll be using, I'll be starting on a white background. Well, let me clean this up and I'll get that out for us. Okay, you can see I've laid my pictures out according to the sketch. We've got two large photos on the left and then these small photos on the right. And I'm going to get us some white cardstock here for our base. And then I want to use a section of that paper that looks like the city blocks. We're going to use that as the backing for our photos on the left. And then on the right, we're going to use, and at the bottom here, we're going to use some of this green. That's going to make our stripe at the bottom, give us a landing spot for our embellishments. And I thought I might also pull in some of this wood grain paper. This is from the Country Woods collection. I believe that gives us a good contrast, and that blue matches well with the green and the gray that we already have. For our mat on the right, behind all these small photos, I believe I'm just going to use some plain cardstock, since most of it will be hidden anyway. So we're going to arrange our pictures back up on this cardstock. We'll arrange them back according to the sketch. And I've added some spots here for our journaling as well. These extra spots on our grid on the right. I've cut some photo mats out of Crumb Cake. I believe I'm going to use the dark side of Crumb Cake, and we're going to edge distress those with this gray. It's basic gray, and I believe that'll match that paper we used for our background. It has pretty much of a gray tint to it. So I just took my ink dauber, inked it up with the ink pad, and just flick it around the edge, and that gives us a little outline to help our picture stand off of that gray, because that white border didn't keep it from standing off a little bit, but this really helps to pop off that page. So we'll get the other side inked up. And then we'll get those pictures adhered down. All right. And you can see from my stripes there, we're just having them hang off the side, so we just cut them long enough to stick under the picture. We'll get this background piece inked up to help it stand off of that white a little bit more. I can tell you a little bit about this cruise that we took, but we got on this little boat, and it was open on the top. You could get in you had chairs up there, and as we rode down the Colorado River, the guide would tell us the history of all or most of the buildings as you went down the skyline. It was really interesting when you got to some of the older buildings. We heard the story of Miss O'Leary, who left the lantern and caused the fire that happened in Chicago. And then when we got to the end, we took the last cruise of the day, so that at the end we got to stop and see a fireworks show before we went back and docked to get off. So I thought it was pretty neat. It was really interesting to listen to the history of a lot of the buildings. They're very old, much older than what I realized. But it was very interesting to see all of that and hear the history. All right, we got all our edges distressed. I went ahead and cut a little strip of that gray and put right above the green. And we're going to cut our title with the alphabet a la mode. And I chose the title Skyline Reflections. I thought that was a cute little title. I asked ChatGPT to help me out on that. And so I think you've seen me do this before, but when I cut my letters, I like to lay them out in a straight line. And then you put a piece of washi tape across them, and then you can pick them up and keep them straight. So then I just added my liquid glue on the back of each one of the letters. And then when we get ready to stick those down, you can stick them down in one straight line. And it just helps to keep them straighter and not take hardly as long to put them all down as it would to put them down one by one. But you can absolutely put them down one by one if you'd rather. But I like doing mine like this, so that once I get all my glue on, I just pick it up and I can lay it right down. And then you just let it sit there for a few minutes and it'll adhere to the page. Then you can remove that sticky tape or the washi tape. All right, so we'll get our other word tacked down. We'll just repeat the process, adding little drops of glue all around those letters. And then we'll pick it up as one solid line and stick it down. All right. Get those stuck down there, and then we'll go ahead and let those sit for a few minutes, and then we'll pull that washi tape off. Let's go ahead and see if this one's ready. We can pull it just a little bit. You want to pull it gently because it will, as you can see, I almost pulled the letter off there. But it doesn't take very long, but once they start adhering, then you can pull that washi tape off. Let's go ahead and try this one. We may have to hold it down a little extra there. All right, we have our title adhered down, so let's go ahead and start adding some embellishments. I have from my stash this little setting sun, and the water is stamped from these Scenic Adventures dies. They have a little stamp in there that'll cut out and make it look like water. But I thought since we took our cruise at the end of the day, we had a little setting sun. There's the Scenic Adventures, that's where the water came from. We're going to try to just add that right up on the top above our pictures on the right. All right, just a little setting sun there over the water. I cut out some little banners in the same colors, the different sheets of paper. I think we're just going to make a little swooping banner over here on the right side. I'll just use some, I just cut some little small pieces and then I just dovetailed the ends like you would for a regular dovetail banner. We just used some different papers that we'd been using. And I like that. We'll get some string run across there. This is just some string that I had picked up at Hobby Lobby. It's kind of a white with gold flecks in it. But we're just going to glue a strip across and make us some bows on the end. And we put those pearls on the end. Then I have this little camera that I just printed off of my Cricut, and some different little, I've got a lantern here, since it was nighttime. We didn't have lanterns, but I thought it looked kind of cool sitting there. And then I have this stamp set called Love This Moment, and I have these little arrows. I thought we would stamp some little arrows on our picture above our pictures, just to give a little character, add a little something more to the page. I'm going to be stamping those in basic gray, and I'm going to stamp them right onto the page. We're going to stamp this one. We're going to make the arrows pointing in and put a couple little stamps on there of the arrows there. Then we're going to move to the other side. I'm going to put them right above, going the opposite direction, and they will point in as well. Both sets are pointing into the layout. I thought that just added a little bit of something onto the page to give it a little more character. I'm also going to bring in a couple more sets here. I have the, I believe it's called Just a Note, and I'm going to use the stamp that says Best Ever, and then from Perfectly Pears I'm going to use the little splatter stamp, and we're going to put some little splatters around. I think on this bottom left white square on the right, we're going to use that as a little journal spot. So I'm just going to put a little splatter, and then I'm going to stamp the words Best Ever across there. And on some of those I may just put the details of when and where. We're going to add some little splatters around on the left side, just to add a little more to the page. Looking to see if I want to add any around the top on the right, but I think we're going to leave it like it is. Now we're going to stamp the words Best Ever. This was really fun. All right, we'll get that straight and lined up. We are stamping that in basic gray. And then we'll just put some of our details right above that. All right, I decided I wanted to put a little something extra up here. It looked a little like it needed a little something extra, and I went and tried to get the City Sights stamping kit. It had a skyline stamp in it, but it sold out before I got it, so I turned to my Cricut, and I found some little skyline cutouts. And so I decided to print a couple. Let's see, this one right here, I printed one a little smaller. I think I'm going to stick it right above, right here, the word skyline. And then the other I'm going to stick, I cut one just a little bit bigger You can see this is the Chicago skyline. Here's the bean. And then I believe one of these is supposed to be the Sears Tower, which is now called the Willis Tower. Probably this one right here. Pretty sure it's that one right there. But I just cut a little skyline, so I thought I'd put a little bit, that river ran right down between, so I cut it big and cut off just a little, and it was just perfect to fit on this side over here. So I believe we'll get those tacked down, and then I'll give you a close-up view. All right, I got those little skylines glued down, and I also went ahead and added some little gold bling. I believe these came from Hobby Lobby. They are not Stampin' Up, but I thought they looked really cute. So I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me today and watching my video. If you enjoyed this video, you can please give me a thumbs up. And I will try to make a list of everything that I use that's still available through Stampin' Up and listed in the description box below. And here's a close-up look. Those nice little gold dots. And I will let you know that Stampin' Up has some new online exclusives that will be coming out the 1st of November. Those should start, you should be able to purchase those starting, it's either November 3rd or 4th. I can look that up and leave it in the description box for you. I will show you, let me grab the, what I got and show you the new packaging for Stampin' Up Stamps and Dies. Just a moment. All right, I got 2 of the new sets. This is the Outdoor Adventure, and these are the new slimline packaging, and you can see that the dies now have the artwork on the front of them so that you can see what dies are in there. But this is the new packaging. I really like it, and I experimented a little. I also got this pack, which is the Swirled Designs, and so far both this one and the Outdoor Adventures, they will both fit in one if you want to store them together, because I took my dies, there's the stamps and the dies, and I just slid my dies in behind my stamps so that I could see the artwork on the outside. So now I have the stamps on one side and the artwork on the other, and I believe as long as they're this slimline, I think I can probably get away with that. So that's what I'm going to try. So I'll be combining these 2 together, and then that will give you an extra pack. You can do that with some of your other stamps if you want, or find another use for that. But I really like the new packaging. So those should be available starting November 3rd or 4th. I'll check the date and list it in the description box below, but go on stampinup.com and check those out. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.